Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, thanks for joining me. I'm Katie, I'm doing Mermaid still, and today's prompt is punk. So yes, we are on day 27 of the Mermaid Challenge, and I went a bit wild with this one. That little sketch you saw at the start doesn't turn out anything like how it ends up. So I thought, let's throw some alcohol inks and some isopropyl alcohol all over it. And I think my first mistake was using watercolour board for this. I mean, it was interesting how the ink interacted with it, however, it completely and utterly obliterated what was underneath, so I had to sketch out another one. However, I actually ended up liking this more than what I had originally planned. I originally planned just to use gouache on this before throwing any ink on it, and I don't know, I actually quite like what I did more. I quite like the anarchic nature about it. It does seem quite punky to have thrown all that ink on there. Now, I'm not a punk myself, that's okay. I quite like the punk look though. However, I'm not sure I quite got a full-on punk here, so I didn't give her a mohawk because I was kind of looking at your 1980s style punks, but I did give her a death hawk, and I gave her a studded collar choker, and she's just sitting there with a bit of attitude. She's got a couple of earrings as well, but I'm kind of spoiling it here. So let's talk about the paint I used. So I decided to use the Nickel Poster colour, which I'd already pre-poured into some palettes a while ago, and let me tell you, they reactivate just fine. As long as you make sure there's a good ratio of water to paint, there's no problem with it reactivating, and it does show up kind of okay. The only reason it looks a bit patchy in places, and again, I kind of like the effect it's done there, so I haven't done too much to amend it, but the reason it behaved how it did was I heat dried the alcohol ink, which I don't advise doing because it stinks anyway, and adding warmth to it just makes it smell even more. But in the process of doing that, it did create a little bit of resistance on the surface, and there was only so much I could do to stop that from happening. When it came to applying the gouache, it just simply rejected it. And when I say gouache, I mean the poster colours. They're pretty much the same thing. I thought I would give Finley black hair just to show an absolute massive contrast to her gorgeous blonde locks, and I quite like it. I think she kind of looks a little bit more gothy, perhaps. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments how she looks to you. I was honestly thinking punk whilst I was doing all of this though, honestly do. I also added a few flecks of green to her hair, but it doesn't massively show up at this point. But I actually really like how this came out. I really like how her eyes are quite heavily lined with eyeliner and mascara, and she's just sort of sitting there with this attitude about it. And again, I'm not a punk. It's not really a look I went for in my younger days. I obviously had friends, we all had different looks each, and obviously some of my friends had punky looks, and I can just sort of remember little elements which have inspired this piece. Now, I've obviously kept her tail the same because, you know, that is actually part of her body. But I actually quite like how it worked out on this. I think overall it's quite a nice picture. I kind of like the different reflective surfaces from the alcohol ink in the background, and then you've got this very matte flat-ish front surface. Kind of reminds me a little bit of an animation cell. And I'm just finishing up this with a outline just to make things stand out a little bit more. I know those blues are quite similar, but with an outline it does look a lot better. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I want to say a massive thank you for watching, and if you've watched all of them up until now, thank you so much for staying with me. If you have enjoyed it, please hit that like button. If you are new here, why not subscribe, and also check out the Mermaid playlist. Anyway, I just want to say again thank you for watching, and I will see you lovely lot tomorrow for the next prompt. Bye!